Okay, today's medicines. I'm doing two of them because they're small. Astragalus again, mollissimus, and Athamantha. Still coughing stuff up. But that's a good thing because the body is purging out whether it's toxins in the air or whatever. And this definitely isn't a cold thing. Even though my wife still is miserable. I don't know. She she doesn't want to answer questions, so I can give her a medicine. And I want to talk about that a little bit. But this is the end of the astragaluses, and then I'm going into Athamantha. Now this astragalus is called purple loco weed. But before I do that, homeopathic medicine's great and it's helped through a lot of things. But the other end of that is your diet. Uh, Today, let's see, you got the wheat was hybridized right around 1950. That's why people got gluten stuff going on. If you're gonna eat bread and oats and stuff, you want it to be as close to nature as you can get it. Uh, Sourdough is usually good, but then the flour that has been hybridized, if it's the same flour, you're gonna still have problems. Sugars, refined sugars, white sugar is the worst thing for you. If you want to, we always say drink 8 glasses of water. Well, sea salt or Celtic salt, or what do I have? I have, oh man, what's that? Anyways, it's a salt like that. The regular salt has everything stripped out of it, and just like sugar does, and not good for you at all. That's why a lot of people need iodine for their diet to offset that, or iodine homeopathically to knock that out. But if you get that kind of the salt that you should be getting, which is sea salt or Celtic salt, or I got God, I can't. Um, Anyways, these salts, especially from the sea, it's got like 90 minerals in it, and it's got magnesium. Magnesium is water soluble. I mean, water attractant. So it'll attract the water. So, if you, instead of drinking all these glasses, if you notice, you drink a bunch of water like you're supposed to, 8 glasses of water a day. Sorry. And you can do that if you um, cut out soda pops and all that stuff. But if you really want the water to get into your cells, sea salt with that water will help that. Cutting out the sugars and the wheats and dairy. Dairy can be quite detrimental to a lot of people. A lot of people have become adjusted to it, but I've been weaned off off of milk. I eat food, so and there's plenty of different things, almond milk and all that stuff. Even peanuts. Peanuts aren't that good for you. They mold real easily. So there's a lot of other nuts that you can eat that and seeds, nuts, seeds, legumes, all those kind of things are so good for you. And basically, they've come to realize that if you eat more plants and live food, you'll be healthier. So that is a key, and especially if you don't have to cook it. The other day I was sitting with the bee lady and I looked over and there was a plantain, one of the seed things sticking up, and I just, she was feeding me. We were taking a break from doing that and we were eating sunflower seeds, I think. Yeah. And I just reached down and grabbed that seed pod and just scraped off all the seeds and ate them, So that's kind of the way you want to eat, and all these plants have great properties for you. That's why, I'm not a great herbalist or nothing, but like, I deal with a lot of herbs with the homeopathic. These two are herbs, yeah. And the herbs have a lot of nutrition and a lot of healing properties in their natural state. Some are poisonous and kill you, but you got to watch that. But in their natural state, they have healing properties. And, God said He gave you all the seed bearing plants for food. And then later on in Noah's time, He's like, yeah, go ahead and eat animals, but don't eat the blood. So we weren't really our digestive systems wasn't made to eat all this meat and this oats and stuff. It's only since we become civilized, we used to go forage for our food. Now we become civilized, we have cities and everybody's in there and they're packaging things. And people always say, how are you? And I say, if I was any better, it would probably be illegal, because they would take whatever I'm eating, whatever I'm doing, they want to package it and sell it to me to make me healthy, whether it's vitamins, whether it's food, whatever it is. I had a buddy I was talking to yesterday, and he's, been dealing with diabetes most of his life. Now, this is a disease. It's not his fault because he's inundated with all the ads and all the things saying, come get a burger, come get a bag of chips, and these pretzels will be good, and your bread, you need to have bread sandwiches with bread and lunch meat which has nitrates and all this stuff in it. Here's a hot dog, here's a, so we've been conditioned to eat these types of foods that are basically making us sick. So you really want to be careful what you're eating. If you eliminated half of that packaged stuff you were eating and started eating live foods, what happens is people get sick, they get cancer, they get this. And then, I've read that a few people have gone in and changed their diet to a natural diet, eating greens and eating um, uh, seeds and nuts and fruits and all the stuff that has nutrients. And they've turned their cancer around by doing that. So why not? And that's why I'm reading another book, and the guy's giving mega doses of vitamins to heal the person. It's the same with homeopathic medicine. I get you and I give you a medicine, I heal your body, and you go back to eating the crap, you're going to have the same thing. And my buddy, he's already I feel so bad for him. I was hoping to help him. I heard, he had something on his foot that was not good, and he was, did a video of it. So I said, "Dude, what's up? Are you okay?" And here I find out he had one of his legs cut off. He's got a ulcer on his toe they wanted to cut off. So this is all the diabetic stuff. Now, for him to, you know, change his diet and things like that, I guarantee you that diabetes would be under control. He wouldn't have these situations. But, is it expensive to eat like that? It can be if I mean, you just basically you go in, instead of buying all this box stuff and all this other stuff, you go in and buy a bunch of fruits, vegetables, um, uh, lettuce, all that kind of stuff, good lettuce, not just head lettuce, some green lettuce. But you buy this stuff and you start eating, learning to eat that way. You can change around a lot of your health issues. No matter what medicine I give you, it's almost like the doctors, they give you oh, you got diabetes, here, take this insulin, take this, take that. And you keep eating the same crap. And, it's not the doctor's fault. They know if they told you, to eat right, 9 out of 10 of them wouldn't. The one that's really sick, or the one that really cares about their life, would take their advice, but they know they don't, so they just give them the drugs. The drugs palliate, the drugs suppress whatever's going on. You got skin infections. There's something you're eating that's going wrong. Um, just like herpes zoster. Now they say it's chicken pox later in life. Well, if we wouldn't have had that vaccine back there for chicken pox, you probably wouldn't get herpes zoster, because your body would have pushed that chicken pox out at that time, and it would have got rid of the disease in your body, instead of suppressing it and pushing it back in. Now later in life it pushes it back out. So, and that's the whole health coaching part. So this is just, I'm pushing this because people are sick, and people have no clue about homeopathic medicine. They think they've got to go into the doctor, get a drug, and go that way. Doctors are great for certain things, but like Oliver Wendell Holmes said, if you threw out all them drugs that they have in the ocean, humanity would be better off. And I do believe that. What would they do instead? Change your diet, get some exercise, um, sleep, and you'll see if you eat right and stuff, your sleep would get better. So, anyways, that's a whole another subject in health coaching, which I'm going to do that in my community and put that in there and start. I'll push that once this homeopathic stuff starts catching on, because instead of we're hijacked by what we eat, and then we get sick. So the food industry got us hijacked with sugar, basically. I even looked at these hot dogs the other day, or brats or whatever, and they had uh, corn syrup in it. Everything has corn syrup, and especially the high fructose corn syrup is in everything, and that has hijacked our brains. Oh, this tastes good. Now you get a piece of fruit, and it hasn't been ripened. It comes from miles away, doesn't hasn't been picked ripened on the vine. Now it ripens in the thing, and it's pretty much rotten by the time you get it. You're like, ugh, this don't taste good. But if I eat this, I drink this sugar pop, or I eat this hot dog with sugar in it, oh, that tastes good. So we've been hijacked to think in that manner. And you eat green leafy vegetables. Ugh, I gotta throw this stuff on it because it's nasty. you know um yeah, it's a shame. So our diet, our movement, and we don't move. We basically sit in chairs all day and do computers. We don't get out and get physical activity. That's why I like working with the B lady. This girl's always moving and pushing and doing. Girl works pretty hard. But I that I miss working like that. I worked like that all my life real hard. But I can do it with exercise too, and I pick an exercise you like, something you like to do. I like doing Qigong. I like, push ups, sit ups, things like that. Lifting weights and that, I'm not too much into that. But you could go out and take a walk in the woods like I do. I like doing that. You could play tennis. You could find something that is really gives you that sweat and that exercise. Now, when you're doing that, you should be able to breathe through your nose and talk. Because if you're over exercising, that's anaerobic. Anaerobic exercise is not good for you. You're defeating the purpose. If you're, whether you're running, whether you're walking, whatever, you're able to breathe naturally, a little heavy, but able to talk still, that's aerobic exercise. So you got to be careful there too. You don't, all these people that overdo it, are they getting health benefits? All these people that lift weights and eat burgers and milkshakes and this and that, are they healthy? Some are, some aren't. Depends on what you're putting in you, what kind of workout you're getting. And, anyways, that's enough of the soapbox. Uh, but just having homeopathic medicine or just doing the drugs that the doctors give you, that's only half. That's just when you're sick. you know, if you want, you could always start with a diet change. You can always start with these kind of things. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a certified homeopath. I'm none of this. I just study this stuff for my family, for my own health, and now I want to share it with everybody. So, anyways, 12 minutes of rant. Astragalus mollissimus, which is purple loco weed. Why do they call it loco weed? I'll read that in a second. And Athamantha. Athamantha is, what is that family? It's like the carrot family, like Queen Anne's lace. It's along that family of plants. That's the other thing. Get to know your plants around you. You go out and you pick some dandelions and eat them. Your liver loves you. You eat some plantain, like I did. I poked that seed pot of plantain and ate those seeds. Your lungs and all that kind of stuff, it will love you. So there's a lot of plants that you could be incorporating. That you're out. Oh, we gotta cut these weeds. We gotta spray this stuff. And you're killing yourself with that spray. That spray's nasty. So. Anyways, Astragalus mollissimus, and we went over Astragalus menziesii, Astragalus excapus, and was there another one? No. Okay. So those are the all the ones in the Astragalus family they put into here. But this is the last one, local weed. And purple local weed causes irregularities in gait. So walking, they're not walking well. Paralytic disorders, muscles get paralyzed. Loss of muscular coordination. So that's probably why they're calling it local weed. And the reason why they found out is because, and it's, like arnica, they found out what arnica was good for. The goat would fall off the mountain and go down and eat that plant. And when, after they seen it enough, they're like, what is this plant? And they figured out arnica is good for injuries and pain and trauma. Effects of animals like this Astragalus mollissimus affects animals like alcohol, tobacco, and morphine affects man. So alcohol we know makes dizzy and they walk funny, and morphine same thing, and tobacco can make you dizzy in the head and that. But after acquiring a taste for this plant, the animal refuses every other kind of food. So it's almost like an addiction there. Once they get that loco weed, the cows or whatever, and they will emaciate away. In the first stage, a period of hallucination or mania with defective eyesight. So they're basically drunk or high, during which the animal performs all sorts of antics, and they're happy, and so they enjoy that stuff. Second stage, and this is what I always say, and this would be the same thing in any kind of sickness. So of course I see that dizziness and that sickness and that kind of confusion and that you know antics, someone doing a person doing them kind of antics. I would consider this medicine, because anything it does to somebody, it'll cure homeopathically. So, and then I always talk about stages of the disease. So, like Nat Mur's first stage, they're real prim and proper. They like salt. Second stage, it's a little worse. Then by the third stage, they are naked singing on a windmill. They're no longer prim and proper. That's the final stage of Nat Mur. Second stage of Astragalus, sorry, wait a minute. Yeah, mensissimus Molosins, mollissimus, that's whatever. Astragalus mollissimus. The second stage brings emaciation, sunken eyeballs, lustrous hair, and feeble movements. After a few months, the victim dies from starvation. So this emaciation, as you see, someone would be emaciating in the second stage. The third stage is death. So this cow, which they observed, would eat that plant and be like, whoa, this is good. And they would eat nothing but that plant, emaciate, and eventually die. So they would have to, do something to get them from doing that. So it's good for mania and vision. And what's mania? Mania is like they're all up and yeah, they're all, woo, we're all good, kind of like being when people are drunk, they're all ready to go. All right, so the purple local weed, a name given what it does to cattle, and it addicts them. So it addicts the cattle to this plant. I would imagine it would do the same to a person. They have irregular gait, so they're not walking well. Paralytic disorders, they're paralyzed in a leg or arms or whatever. Loss of muscular coordination, so they're kind of, they can't function right. They're like they're drunk, basically. Head, fullness in right temple and upper jaw. Pain over left eyebrow. Painful facial bones. So they got pain over the left eyeball, painful facial bones, dizziness, oppressive pain in temples. So there's a fullness and oppressive pain, and they're dizzy. Pain and pressure in the maxilla, in the jaw joints there. But a lot of pain up and around the eyes and head and all that kind of stuff, in the jaws. Pu- Limbs, purring sensation. So like, what do you want to say? Like numbness, like when they say purring, it's like uh, they call it formication too. It's like a numbness basically. In right foot, outer side of the right foot, from the right heel to the toe. So they got this like, I don't know what a purring sensation would be like, but it's almost like a numbness or something. Icy coolness in the left calf. So this is all they got for this medicine. They don't. This could be proven more and got fill in these blanks, but it's not. Weakness and emptiness, burning in esophagus and stomach. So even when if you ate the plant, there would be a burning there in the esophagus and stomach. Uh, Weakness and emptiness. So there's a lot of weakness, emptiness, emaciation, all kinds of things like that. So if I saw that in a cold, this could be a plant that be medicine that would be utilized. There's probably a few other ones, but anyways. Now, Athamantha which is it's in the carrot family, basically. Athamantha was proved by France. So this one was proved, but it doesn't have any of the symptomologies down. It just goes through and tells you and has produced some peculiar symptoms. There's a dull, befogged condition of the brain. So the brain's not real clear. Recalling ethusa. I don't know what that is, but ethusa is a plant also that causes these. It's fool's parsley is what ethusa is, and there's a whole Greek thing behind that, so not going to get into that. A quick stupefaction and confusion rises like a vapor from the lower part of the occiput on motion and walking. So they get this confused, uh, dumb look, basically. And it feels like it's rising from the occiput up into the head, and they just get this confused and confusion, and especially when they're walking and on motion. So it leaves them with vertigo. The vertigo is better lying down. So sleepy, heavy, and profound. Sleep. The sleep is heavy and profound, prolonged in the morning to later period than usual. So they'll sleep in, this person that needs Athamantha. Pressure and numbness of head and upper teeth. So there's a lot of pressure up in here, and even the teeth feels the pressure. Pressure on one eyeball from below upward. Doesn't say right or left. Bitter taste and bitter mucus in air passages. Icy coldness of feet and hands. So the head's confused. They got a headache, indigestion, vertigo, all kinds of things like that going on for this person. Anathusa is one that would be fool's parsley would be one. You really want to watch. Fool's parsley is poisonous. Thuja or Athamantha doesn't say whether it's poisonous or not, but I'm sure with the symptoms we're getting there, you don't want to eat that. But if someone did, I would give them Athusia or Athamantha to overcome that, even. So whatever a plant or a substance will do to you, it'll also cure in you. But the real key in everybody's life is to take control of your health. We run hard to make the little bit of money we we can to, pay our bills and to do our thing. But if you don't take care of that part, if you're just eating all the stuff, that's why it's interesting. I'll sit down with my folks and watch the TV, and they'll show you a pizza. That flour is no good for you. The sauce, maybe there's probably sugar in it, but all that's no good for you. Once in a while, not a bad thing. But the other thing I've noticed is if certain things I eat, I'll sneeze like 15 times. That's an allergic reaction. So if you notice you get a sick stomach, and that's usually, instead of going and getting these expensive tests to find out what you're allergic to, what doesn't agree with you, instead of all that, eliminate some stuff, eliminate sugar, and I know it'll be hard for most to do, to eliminate that sugar. I know it's hard for me. My wife loves sugar. They soda pop is all they'll drink mainly, and then they'll eat, pancakes with that syrup that's got the high fructose corn syrup, so just a lot of sugar in the diet. And she doesn't feel good. She does, so anyways, that's a whole nother subject there. But if you just look and say, oh, you know what, this stuff isn't good for me. This salt I've got on my thing, get a different salt, if you can. It's expensive, but you know, eliminate the salt. Eliminate breads and oats and things like that. Start eating more nuts and seeds, and you know things like legumes, nuts, seeds, legumes, green leafy vegetables. And I would even go as far as eat some stuff out of the woods. Uh, just to grab a plant right from the woods and eat it. You want probiotics? You want prebiotics? You want all them biotics? Eat something straight out of the woods. I guarantee you'll get some biotics from it. I've got some chicken of the woods right now. I've just made some plantain soup. It's got plantain, mushrooms, a few other things in it. So it's, um, and do I eat like that all the time? No. Like I'll have, I bought the someone gave us hot dog buns. So I thought, all right, for my kids here and my wife will eat them. I bought some hot browts, and I didn't have my glasses, so I just bought them. When I looked, it has uh, corn syrup in it. Sorry. Ah, I either have an infection or I have uh, somewhat of a cold or something. Doesn't feel like a cold, but most likely an infection because my mucus is yellow. What would I go with that? I would go with it's thick. Calibic could be one. Sulfa another. It was a thick lump, so and whether it's a cold, a flu, an infection, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. I would match the mucus color, the symptom thing, and it only comes up in the morning, and it comes up after I start talking. So I would look under my books under that. So, but whether you got mold in your house, mold is a horrible thing. Even the Bible talks about if there's mold in the house, clean it up. If it comes back, you got to destroy the house, take all the bricks, everything out, and put it into a place out of the city. So that's how bad mold is. So if that could be a mold thing in my house. You never know. But the homeopathic medicine will get there, but you need to be like a detective and looking and seeing what is this coming from. Is this because of the foods I'm eating? Because I did eat some bad foods. I bought my wife Pringles yesterday, and I had some of them. What else did I eat? My mom gave me cheese. Yeah, so I usually don't eat much cheese. That's anyways. What else did I eat that wasn't good? I ate that hot dog. I had one hot dog, but I did have bean soup that I was just finishing off. I finished that off yesterday. What else did I eat that was good for me? The bean soup. I'll be dang, I didn't eat my. Oh, I ate my eggs. My eggs with purslane and what all did it have in it? I think it had more purslane. What else did it have in it? Anyways, a couple herbs from the uh, forest and a couple some mushrooms from the forest. I ate that. Now that was a good thing to eat. The rest of it I didn't do too well. My eggs were good. My soup was good, but my that hot dog with oh, what bread did I? No, I used that hot dog bread, but I bought sourdough bread. Now if the dough or the flour was just that hybridized wheat, that's still not good. But I like sourdough bread. It's very good for the gut. Oh, I drank kombucha. Kombucha is good for the gut. So I'm doing some gut re-establishing there, and that's the other end of it. You want your gut flora to be good. What destroys your gut flora? It's the sugars in that, and you have bacteria in there saying, "Feed me more sugar." If you want the sugar, eat some fruits. I did eat fruit, didn't I? Yeah, I ate honeydew melon. That was another good thing I ate. So just to incorporate some of these things into your diet. Now, I went back to get some more honeydew melon yesterday, and they had pineapple on sale. So three buy three for whatever. And the honeydew wasn't on sale anymore because they sold all the ones they know that'll rot if they sit there. So they sell them cheaply, and then the last ones are same price. You get one, buy one, get one. And this was with the pineapples was buy three for this price or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, so you want to go when things are in season and you want to buy them and eat them because they're fresh. And that honeydew melon was great. So yeah, I can't emphasize enough. Change your diet, and you won't need homeopathic medicine. But if you are sick, you know, going with the regular medicine, there's, you know, they usually don't cure you. Homeopathic can get you there, but if you don't change some habits in your life, then you'll have problems. So that would be the other end. Once I get people healthy from homeopathic medicine, then we would talk about diets and how to how to eat, when to eat. That's a whole nother thing too. Do you chew 3 times and swallow, or do you chew 30 times and swallow? you know, Chewing more gets the saliva in there that's already digesting it, which helps digestion. That's where there's no heartburn in that because you're chewing more. You're eating at the proper times. If you eat late at night, that's going to sit on you. You won't get to sleep. You wake up, you'll feel like crap. So, just a few habits that you have to be aware of and just judge, take your life and look. And that's what I would do in a health coaching session. We would look at your life and say, okay, let's change this one habit. and then change another habit, and make it a habit. And how do you make it a habit? You tie it to something. If you brush your teeth and you want to take vitamins, brush it, link those two. When I brush my teeth, oh, I got to take my vitamin, whatever, something to that effect. Um, so in the morning you eat and you forget to take your vitamin, you run out the door. But when you're brushing your teeth, you always have that vitamin there. You will take it. So you want to link up some good habits and change those things so that you don't have to eventually be sick and then need to be taken care of. That's we always want. Oh, you got a pill. Them ladies used to say, "Hey, you got." I do homeopathic medicine. Oh yeah, when I was doing marble, and they'd say, "Do you have a pill for losing weight?" I'd say, "Yeah, here. Take a bag of fruit with you and eat that all day." I tell you what, you will lose weight. The first day you'll get sick to the stomach because you're not used to it. But anyways, yeah, take control of your health, man. Don't wait for a doctor to come in and be your savior, because you can age, but you don't have to get old.